That's right, last night, the triumphant return of the product herself, Angel Reese, finally made her way back to the court. Funny, a lot of questions going on out there around Angel the last month or so. Like, what in the bleep is going on? Exactly, why aren't you playing in games? We heard it was a back injury.
Angel Reese's long-awaited return was supposed to be a turning point. Chicago hyped it like a championship celebration, plastering "Welcome Back Barbie" across promotions as if one player could rewrite the team's season overnight.
Quitting again? It appears you're quitting again just because your team not good. Just like rookie year, once you realize you stood no chance to win rookie of the year, you quit. You're quitting unrivaled. It looked like it was happening again. But look what we have here. Look what we have here. Angel Reese has been found. She has surfaced.
Fans showed up expecting fireworks, redemption, and a savior moment, but what they got instead was different. Yes, Reese put up numbers: 19 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. On paper, it looked like a solid night, yet the moment everyone remembers wasn't her scoring. It was a brutal block that went viral within hours, turning her comeback into a meme cycle rather than a statement of dominance. And that's where the questions began. Was this really the triumphant return of Chicago's future, or just another layer of marketing spin hiding deeper problems? Why did her absence stretch nearly a month with little explanation? And most importantly, has Angel Reese actually proven she can be the centerpiece of a winning team? That's the story we're diving into today.
And Elizabeth Williams forces a turnover. Diana with her head up to Angel Reese. Can't put it away.
When Angel Reese finally stepped back on the court, Chicago framed the moment like a rescue mission. Their social media blasted out "Welcome back, Barbie" in bold pink letters, the kind of rollout usually reserved for a playoff star returning in June, not a struggling team sitting at the bottom of the standings. The message was clear. This wasn't just game 35 of the season. This was supposed to be a rebirth, the player who would erase weeks of frustration and give the sky a reason to believe again. But reality hit fast. Within minutes of tip-off, the gap between hype and performance showed itself.
We're so back! Bang! Hexagon, polygon, octagon, it don't matter! Turn it on for pecan! Butter pecan! Bang! Rebound. Bang!
Hasn't played in 3 weeks. Maybe her legs are fresh. She can jump higher.
No! Bang! She's played in 24 games this year. She's been blocked 48 times!
According to my advanced analytics, she's getting 2 bang bangs per game.
Bang bang!
Yes, Reese scored 19 and filled the stat sheet, but her efficiency wasn't what fans clipped, posted, and replayed online. Instead, the highlight that traveled everywhere was Seattle's Ezi Magbagor sending her shot flying the other way. A single block instantly defined the night, overshadowing everything else. To critics, it was the perfect metaphor. Chicago had staged her return as a hero's entrance, but what the world saw was the exact opposite. Their so-called savior being humbled on national TV. And that's when the conversation shifted from stats to credibility. Because if this was the comeback, if this was the turning point the team promised, then why did it feel like nothing had really changed? Angel Reese didn't just return to the court, she returned to a divided fan base. To some, her absence was a necessary pause, a moment to step away, reflect, and come back stronger. She even described it as a period of self-reflection, framing the break as personal growth rather than weakness.
You missed 10 games, and you're still top 4 in the league in total turnovers.
I said swiper, no swiping! Bang! I know you're a better bowler than you are a basketball player, but I thought we were going to save that bowling pass till next year. Bang! You want some maple syrup with that pancake? Bang! Like Mr. SquarePants once said, you know what's funnier than 24? How about an 8-26 record?
But not everyone bought that. For her supporters, it was easy to rally behind the narrative of a young star learning to navigate the pressures of professional basketball. Reese has always carried herself with confidence, calling herself the Bayou Barbie back in college and building a brand around resilience and personality. To those fans, the return was proof of maturity, a reminder that even the brightest players sometimes need space to reset before shining again. Her critics, however, saw something else entirely. They argued that the month-long absence wasn't about growth, it was about checking out. In their eyes, Reese had abandoned her teammates during the grind of a brutal season. The fact that there were no rehab photos, no sideline appearances, no signs of steady progress only fueled the suspicion, where other injured players are often seen in the background cheering or mentoring. Reese was largely invisible. That gap in visibility created a vacuum, and in today's world, vacuums get filled by speculation. Was she really rehabbing? Was this about a back injury or something deeper? Had she simply decided to step away when the season slipped out of reach? None of those questions had official answers, and the lack of clarity only hardened people's opinions. And the truth is, the split wasn't new. Reese has always been a polarizing figure. In college, she became a cultural lightning rod for her unapologetic trash talk and fiery demeanor. To some, that made her the perfect symbol of confidence in women's sports. To others, it was a sign of arrogance. That same divide followed her into the WNBA, so when she finally returned, fans didn't see the same story. Some celebrated it as the comeback of a player who had taken the time to reset. Others saw it as proof that her reputation was built more on marketing than on accountability. And that tension, the battle between perception and reality, is exactly what made her return so complicated. Because the real question wasn't whether she was back.
So we missed you. We missed you, Angel. You're back. You're roaring back, and I'm sure you came back and led the Chicago Sky to victory. Okay. No? Okay. It's been a while, and I'm sure you came back to a sellout crowd that could not wait to see you. Or not.
The real question was whether she could be trusted to stay. Angel Reese's absence this season wasn't the first time fans were left wondering where she went. Back at LSU, a similar storyline played out. Midway through her junior year, she suddenly disappeared from the lineup, missing multiple games without a clear explanation. The official line was always vague, personal reasons, and head coach Kim Mulkey gave little more than cryptic comments that only deepened the mystery. That stretch turned into one of the biggest talking points in women's college basketball. Every game she missed raised more questions. Was it about her health, her relationship with teammates, something happening off the court? The speculation never stopped until her return, and when she did come back, she picked up right where she left off, dominating on the court like nothing had happened. But here's the thing, when the same pattern repeats itself in the pros, people start connecting the dots. Two sudden disappearances, both wrapped in mystery, both lasting weeks without clear answers. To Reese's supporters, it's unfair to draw comparisons. They argue that athletes are human, and if she needed time away, whether for health, family, or personal reasons, that's her right. Her critics, though, see it differently. To them, this is a worrying trend. A star player can't vanish without explanation and expect full trust from teammates, coaches, and fans. The WNBA isn't college. Franchises invest heavily in their cornerstones. Disappearing acts raise questions about reliability, consistency, and leadership.
Only 6,724 fans showed up to the Wintrust Arena. Yeah, it holds about 9,500 fans, so we're talking roughly 3,000 fans away from being sold out to see the return of Angel Reese and the defeat of the Chicago Sky against the Storm.
And the fact that both episodes ended with Reese walking back into the spotlight, posting solid stats, and brushing off the noise only adds to the divide. For some, that's resilience. For others, it's proof she doesn't take accountability. Either way, the whispers have started. Is this just coincidence or a habit forming in real time? For all the doubts about her consistency, one thing about Angel Reese has never been in question: her marketability. Even before she set foot in the WNBA, brands lined up to attach themselves to the Bayou Barbie image. Pink fits, unapologetic confidence, and a flair for trash talk turned her into a headline magnet, and that magnetism translated into real dollars. Reese quickly became one of the highest earning athletes in the NIL era, stacking sponsorships with household names. To companies, she wasn't just a basketball player, she was a personality who could command attention, spark conversation, and sell a lifestyle. That reputation followed her into the pros. The Chicago Sky didn't just draft a player, they drafted a walking brand. From the moment she landed in the league, promos leaned heavily on her star persona. Social media posts hyped her like a franchise savior. Merchandise drops featured her face front and center. Even her return game wasn't just framed as basketball. It was a marketing event, complete with hashtags and highlight packages. But here's the tension. What happens when the marketing runs ahead of the production? Reese's critics argue that the Barbie label sets expectations she she hasn't consistently met on the court. They see a player treated like a superstar before proving she can carry a team at the pro level. And when that gap between brand and performance grows, frustration follows. Her fans push back hard. To them, the marketing isn't smoke and mirrors, it's recognition. Reese brings visibility to a league that desperately needs it. She draws crowds, sparks debate, and keeps women's basketball in mainstream conversation. Even her controversies, they argue, are good for business. And that's the paradox. The very thing that makes Reese such a valuable asset to the WNBA, the brand, is also what fuels the criticism. When you're marketed as bigger than the game, every stumble feels amplified. So the question hanging over her career isn't just about skill. It's about whether her game can eventually match the size of her image, or whether the Barbie brand will always be bigger than the basketball. Behind every headline, there's always a quieter story, the one inside the locker room. And with Angel Reese, that story might be just as important as what fans see on the court.
We need Angel Reese so we can win, win, win! Win? Since when has Angel Reese contributed to winning? The Chicago Bravado were routinely getting their ass kicked when she was healthy. Outside of the female Suns from Connecticut who seem to be losing intentionally, the Chicago Bravado are the worst team in the league.
When a player disappears for weeks without clear explanation, it doesn't just leave fans guessing, it forces teammates to pick up the slack. For Chicago, that meant rotation shifted, chemistry had to be rebuilt on the fly, and young players were thrust into roles they weren't ready for. By the time Reese returned, the rhythm of the team had already changed. That creates tension, even if nobody says it out loud. Professional locker rooms run on trust, and sudden absences test that bond. Coaches need to know who they can rely on night after night, and teammates want to feel like everyone is fully committed to the grind. Reese's comeback was celebrated publicly but privately. Some may have wondered, is she all in, or is her brand bigger than the team? It doesn't help that Reese's personality is polarizing. She's fiery, outspoken, and never shies away from a spotlight. For some teammates, that energy can be inspiring, a leader who refuses to back down. For others, it risks becoming a distraction, especially when critics seize on every misstep and blow it up online.
And no regrets for the rookie Sonia Citron with a magical move for the Mystics. She's fierce.
Citron, the back cut. Nice drop off the area. Fan gets the bucket.
Nice dime right there in front of the rim.
The truth is, the locker room factor could make or break her career. If Reese wins over her teammates and proves she can be counted on, the noise outside won't matter. But if doubts linger, no amount of scoring or endorsements can cover for fractured trust. And that's where the story takes a sharper turn, because what happened next wasn't just about basketball, but about reputation. Publicly, Angel Reese is a star built for the modern era. She's bold on social media, quick with sound bites, and unapologetically leans into the Bayou Barbie persona. To fans, that makes her magnetic. Every post sparks debate, every outfit makes headlines, and every quote fuels the narrative that she's rewriting the rules for women's basketball. But behind the curtain, the picture isn't always so clear. Teammates and coaches see a different side of the spotlight, one where Reese's brand sometimes overshadows the grind of the game. The public sees confidence. Insiders might see pressure, expectation, and the weight of always having to live up to the image. That gap between perception and reality is where the controversy lives.
When Angel Reese is on the court, the only thing you're winning is the #1 pick in the draft. Ironically enough, if the Chicago Bravado get the #1 pick in the draft this year, they don't even get to keep it. It belongs to the Minnesota Lynxers. So not only are you stuck with Angel Reese, you also don't have a draft pick so you can select a player that actually knows how to win.
For supporters, Reese represents a new generation of athletes who don't hide who they are. They argue that her confidence is authenticity, that she's showing young players it's okay to be loud, stylish, and ambitious without apology. Her critics, though, frame it as image over substance. They question whether the focus on fashion shoots, brand deals, and social media moments comes at the cost of consistency on the court. And when absences or struggles happen, those critics are quick to suggest that the Barbie image might be masking deeper issues. What makes this so fascinating is how both sides can be true. Reese's is undeniably marketable and she's undeniably polarizing. She's a star because of her talent, but she's a phenomenon because of the persona she's built. The challenge and the risk is keeping those two identities in balance. Because in the WNBA, the image might get you noticed, but only the performance keeps you untouchable. At this point, Angel Reese's story feels less like a basketball season and more like a case study in modern sports stardom. She's polarizing, marketable, and unpredictable all at once. And that makes the question of what's next even more intriguing. Will she rise to the occasion and prove her doubters wrong by backing up the brand with consistent performance? Or will the weight of expectation and constant spotlight become the very thing that holds her back?
Facts was she had not finished any season. Her rookie year with the Sky, she tapped out. She did not finish with Unrivaled. She tapped out, didn't even show up to the playoff games. And then this season, post All-Star break, it seemed like that is all she cared about. She realized this team stinks. Tyler Marsh is a bum. Jeff P's a bum. They all stink.
For the WNBA, the stakes are bigger than just one player. Reese has the kind of magnetism that can bring new eyes to the league. But that only works if her story stays compelling for the right reasons. Highlight reels, clutch performances, and undeniable growth. For Reese, the challenge is finding that balance between image and game, between being the Barbie off the court and the force on it, because as powerful as the brand may be, in the end, only one thing will silence the critics: winning. And that's the turning point everyone is waiting for, whether Angel Reese becomes just a cultural icon or a basketball legend who redefines the game. The Angel Reese saga isn't just about one athlete, it's about the cost of stardom in today's game. In an era where every move is magnified, every post dissected, and every misstep turned into a headline, the margin for error is razor thin. Reese embodies both the promise and the peril of that spotlight. On one side, she's proof that women's basketball can command mainstream attention. She's turned herself into a brand, a conversation piece, and a face of the league at a time when visibility is priceless. Without Angel Reese, a lot of casual fans might not even be checking in on WNBA scores. That's the upside, the power of personality to grow the game. But the other side of that sword cuts deep. The same boldness that wins her fans also fuels relentless criticism. Every absence, every dip in performance, every perceived attitude shift gets amplified tenfold. For Reese, that means no quiet nights, no room to simply play without the noise. The question is whether she can transform that pressure into fuel, or whether it eventually wears her down. Stardom is never free. It demands consistency, resilience, and the ability to tune out voices that want to see you fall. Angel Reese has shown she can own the spotlight. Now the test is whether she can control it. Because if she can, she won't just be remembered as the Bayou Barbie. She'll be remembered as the player who turned controversy into legacy. So now the spotlight shifts to you. What do you think? Will Angel Reese prove the critics wrong and solidify herself as a legend, or will the weight of expectation keep her story stuck in controversy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know if you see her as the future of women's basketball or just a cultural icon that burns bright for a moment. And if this deep dive gave you a new perspective, hit that like button. It really helps push the conversation further. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're just getting started with stories that expose the untold side of sports, the drama behind the highlight reels, and the players who change the game in ways most people don't notice. Because this isn't just about basketball. It's about how stars are made and how quickly they can fall. The next chapter of Angel Reese's journey is coming fast. The only question is, will you be watching?